Now it's time for Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf, the #1 relationship advice radio show in the U.S.
Hello and welcome to Love Never Dies. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf, founder of AskDrLove.com, the web's first relationship advice site since 1995, and host of Ask Dr. Love Radio. Love Never Dies is my memoir and self-help book that shares the amazing, eternal love story between me and my beloved Jean Pain and our spiritual connection. Jean was a very famous, one of the world's most famous, internationally renowned former Jesuit priest, Émile Jean Pain. You can read his bio and see his pictures on Wikipedia under Émile Pain. Jean's astonishing after-death manifestations proved to me our relationships aren't supposed to end in death. So I created my groundbreaking new trans-dimensional grief therapy method that melds my acclaimed conflict resolution method and brings it to the world of after-death communication. The result is an unprecedented new method that offers you the first vehicle in history for not only reconnecting, but also making peace with the deceased. And I always remind you, Jean's over-the-top manifestations aren't just meant for me. As he said right after he left his body, Jamie, let our love shine like a torch that lights the path for others. So I remind you, Jean's manifestations are meant to let you know that your loved ones are here with you too. They're just waiting for you to open the door of your heart and let them back in, which is what Love Never Dies shows you how to do. I show you how to tune to the spirit channel, let them back in, and how to dialogue with them. So one of my Facebook fans said she loves tuning into the Love Never Dies show each week to hear the latest Jean-ifestation. So here we go. I forgot to tell you last week, right before I came on air here on Hay House Radio, I felt Jean asking me to go into the kitchen. And I walked in, and a Phoebe landed right in front of my window. And I said, if Jean is speaking through you now, open your beak once and say hi. Hi. And the bird instantly opened its beak so wide, it looked like a lion roaring. And I knew Jean was reminding me that he's with us during the show broadcast. Later that day, I was doing a session with a patient of mine named Dee. I was sitting on my porch where I sit with everybody during my Love Never Dies retreats when we do them in the summer. And I was helping her to dialogue for the first time with her abusive mother. And just then, a bird landed in front of me, opened its beak once, and said a big hi. And that was Dee's mom's way of saying, please let Dee know that I'm with her and I'm helping her to heal. When we reconnect, we obtain total healing in body, mind, spirit, emotion, and our loved ones in spirit are here to help us achieve this total healing. Now, later that night, Tuesday night, is the coaches training and supervision group. And I invited my Love Never Dies live online course students to join the group for their third and final group visit. Actually, the live course was supposed to only have 2 group visits, but Dr. Joe Shippa said, gee, I could really use an extra one in the beginning, one in the middle, and one in the end. So I added a 3rd visit for the completion of the live online course. And now when you purchase the online course, you will see 3 group calls, which were amazing calls. I'll tell you a little bit about it. After I talked the group into a meditative state using my visualization and meditation for making contact, I left everyone in silence and I just turned off each of their audio so nobody would be distracted by sounds coming into their computer. After a bit, I unmuted the audio so we could talk about what everyone experienced during the silent meditation. Jacqueline and Judith, 2 of my newly certified transdimensional grief method coaches, both wanted to be filled with energy from their loved ones in spirit. And they both said that their loved ones brought them images of water, waterfalls, floating in a pool of water. And as they were sharing what they experienced during their meditation, we all audibly heard the sound of water flowing and sloshing. It was wild. It was wild. Everyone heard it. It was audible. And I recorded the event, so that water sound is going to be available when I put together a video of all the various audio manifestations, and you'll be able to see it on my YouTube channel at Ask Dr. Love. Now, after the water miracle, we did a dialogue with Gina, one of the live online course students. And she came because she didn't think she could connect to her husband in spirit. Her husband kept calling her baby during our first group call, and she confirmed that baby was her nickname, and she actually tattooed it on her body and showed us the tattoo, because he never called her by her name, he just called her baby. So this time, last Tuesday night, I heard her husband singing, "Ooh, baby, baby, ooh, baby, baby." So she cracked up and she said that she was listening to that song earlier in the day. So isn't that an amazing manifestation? He was bringing her the song, and then he implanted the thought in my mind to confirm, yeah, she was listening to it because he was with her singing that song to her. Now, at the end of the class, toward the end, just like every other week for the past few months, I suddenly saw all my certified coaches and my students' eyes bugging out. And Maya always puts her hands on her cheeks as her eyes bug out like two saucers. And that's when they tell me that they hear Jean's voice speaking after mine. And now all my live online course students heard it too. And we recorded this, so that I'll be sharing with you on YouTube as well. Now, I was so sad to say goodbye to my online course students, but I was happy at the same time, since each one told me that their experience has been so healing and wonderful. Margaret finally understood what her dad in spirit was worried about. We dialogued with him and she found out. Gina was finally able to feel her husband's presence and know that he's with her every minute. And Gina actually said she wants to become one of my new certified transdimensional grief method coaches. Trish, all the way from Australia, thought she was incapable of connecting to her husband in spirit, but she learned how to do it. And now she's filled with so much joy. The only way we can feel joy is really through reconnecting. Dottie had some tremendous healing with her dad, who had abused her verbally and physically, and she had incredible healing and working through and that she had never experienced in her life. Dr. Joe improved his dialoguing skills, and he's taking his show on the road and using my method with his patients. And Dr. Joe is going to be joining me and some of my other certified coaches during my Kripalu weekend. It was a beautiful experience. So you'll get a sense, you'll join into the Love Never Dies family when you become an online course student, and you'll be able to share in our wonderful experience and connection when you view the 3 videos associated with the course, in addition to the 8 videos of each of the weekly lessons. And there are audios, of course, too, 2 or maybe more than 2 bonus audios. It's a great course. Now, on Thursday, Pablo, my publicist, and I spoke with Deborah Beauvais. She's my radio syndicator. And we were talking about my upcoming Kripalu event. She so believes in our message and ministry and my method that she actually volunteered to spend a fortune to put out radio ads throughout her network, 136 countries, and 10 terrestrial stations in the Boston, Connecticut, Rhode Island area. She just did this. A total gift. What a beautiful gift. Now, later that day, I heard Jean say, "I want you to do more public speaking." And I kept hearing him say over and over, "Keep moving, keep moving." And then later that day, Kip, my TV show and film producer, wrote to me and said, "Jean wants you moving." Wow, that was so neat. Now, I have one more manifestation for you, and I'm still scratching my head about this one. It's so wild. So I have to give you a little backstory so you can understand what happened on Friday. A couple of months ago, Espy, who is now one of my new certified coaches, was in my office talking to me about the way she dismisses signs of spirit presence, spirit communication. She said, "I just dismiss everything. I'm a total rationalist." Suddenly, she starts telling me a story that happened to her back in 2006. Well, when I heard her say 2006, my ears immediately pricked up, because that was the year that Jean left his body. And something told me the story was going to involve Jean. She said she was standing alone on the subway platform when a man in a soft, light brown trench coat, a very thin, flimsy coat, came walking toward her. And at first, she thought he was a homeless man. But then when he got closer, she saw how meticulously dressed he was, and she saw his angelic face and smile. And he sent her the message energetically that God loves her as much as he loves him. She said that he kept on walking and disappeared into the wall. So she told me this story now, 10 years later, as an example of the way that she dismisses spirit. When she told me the story, I immediately knew that she was talking about Jean. He was wearing that coat the night he left his body. So I went to the closet, I pulled out his trench coat, and she said, that was the coat. And of course, I showed her Jean's photo, and she said, that was Jean. Now, that amazing manifestation shows that she was being prepared to be one of my coaches 10 years in advance, because at the time that Jean appeared to her, her husband was still living in a body and would be living in a body for almost 10 more years. Okay, so now back to last Friday. I was speaking with a British journalist while she read an interview I gave her in order to obtain my approval of the quotes that she was going to attribute to me. And she ended the call by saying, I have to tell you something strange. She said, my editor-in-chief was alone in the tube, that's the British subway, right? The tube yesterday, and she saw a man that looked exactly like Jean, and he walked toward her and then disappeared into thin air. OMG. Incredible, right? Well, these examples that I've given to you today, these manifestations, Jean-ifestations, really a good example of all the ways that our loved ones in spirit communicate with us all the time, through open vessels, human and animal, through earthly props, electronic devices. So today I want to talk about the 5 biggest afterlife myths, because if you don't understand these myths and resolve them in your mind and really basically put them down and put them to bed, you are not going to be able to see, feel, hear, smell, taste, all the ways that your loved ones are reaching out to you. Now, in my new Love Never Dies online course, in lesson number 2, I focus extensively on helping you overcome the false beliefs, the false religious teachings, the misconceptions, and the myths that block the majority of the world from reconnecting with our loved ones in spirit. Now, after Jean left his body in 2006, I found out that many people are riddled with false religious teachings and incorrect beliefs that actually deadbolt their hearts and completely block their ability to communicate with spirit beings. So today I want to give you a brief overview of 5 of these misconceptions and myths and help you move past them. And then, of course, in the Love Never Dies course, I go into more detail and I share all the other myths that I don't have time to go into in a short show. But I want to begin with a brief word of caution. When you're grieving, you're in a vulnerable spot. So I want you to be aware of the people in your intimate circle who, however well-meaning they may be, may try to interfere with your efforts to reconnect with those in spirit. Because well-meaning skeptics, dream stealers, and naysayers are themselves laboring under the very same false teachings and beliefs that we are about to free you of. So be very careful who you choose to tell that you're listening to this show or taking my online course, because especially in the early stages of grief, your heart and your hopes can be so easily dashed by well-meaning friends and family. So I don't want your reconnection to stall as a result of others' interference in the process. So the first obstacle, the first myth, is the wrong belief that we're not supposed to stay in connection with loved ones in spirit. Now, how do I know it's quite the opposite, that we are supposed to stay in connection with those in spirit? Oh, before I get to this, I want to give you the phone number just so that you can get in queue. And I'll have the opportunity to talk with you, answer your questions, help you dialogue. 866-254-1579 in U.S. and Canada. And the international number is your country code, 760-918-4300. So it's always best to get in queue early in the show so that you're sure I can get with you. Okay? Because every week when I can't get with everybody, I kind of have a little sadness. So how do I know we're supposed to stay in connection with those in spirit? Jean brought me this revelation on my first night back from Italy. So I was lying alone in the bed and I wasn't sleeping, and I heard Jean speaking to me. And he was quoting something I did not recognize. Now, the next day, I went to his priest to prepare the readings for Jean's funeral. And I'd never met his priest before because, as I explained in Love Never Dies, I never went to church. So when I told the priest that Jean was speaking to me and quoting something, the priest raised his brow in obvious skepticism, like, this babe has lost her marbles. The elevator is not going to the top floor. But then I told him what Jean was saying. He blanched. He crossed himself. And he said, "Dear God, Jamie, at first I didn't believe that Jean was talking to you, but I do now." And he told me, "You are quoting an obscure biblical passage from the Communion of Saints." Like I would have known. As I said, I never read the Bible. I never went to church. And Jean and I never discussed religion, at least not when he lived in a body. So it took me a year to understand why Jean chose to quote that and only that passage to me. Because remember, he was a religious pioneer in life, and he continues to be in the afterlife. And as I discovered, it took me a year to discover this, the Communion of Saints says that our loved ones in spirit are one with, or in communion with, God and the saints. And since the Bible says we're supposed to stay in communion and communication with God and the saints, it means that the Bible is telling us that we're supposed to stay in communion and communication with our loved ones in spirit because they are one with God and the saints. So my point is, and this is Jean's point to all of us, what we've been told about the afterlife is dead wrong. Pardon our pun. Because Jean wants us to know we're not meant to live in an emotional wasteland, separated from those we love, waiting until we quote unquote, quote, die and enter heaven. Because as Jean told me, Jamie, death is an illusion. There's a very thin veil between the realm where you are and the realm where I am. The veil is thinner than you can ever imagine. I'm standing right here. And he also said, heaven is a state, not a place. Heaven is all around us. Heaven is here and now. So this means we are supposed to reconnect with our loved ones in spirit right now. Okay. Now, the next myth is based on a false belief, and we have to tackle this one because this belief will stop you from reconnecting with your loved ones in spirit. And this false belief says that reconnecting to those in spirit stops us from getting on with our lives. Now, what I've discovered is it's the exact opposite. I can't tell you how many grieving people I've spoken with here on Hay House Radio each week. For the last, now it'll be 2 years. And some of these people have been grieving for decades. And contrary to popular belief, time hasn't healed their grief. Think about it. We never stop loving the people we love who've left their bodies. And if we don't reconnect, the pain of missing those we love, those who are in spirit, that pain never goes away. And our grief just goes on and on. When we're grieving, we can't enter our lives and live fully. Now, we may go through the motions of living, but we may not talk about our loss, but it's still there. It's dragging us down like an anchor, like an albatross, dragging us down and preventing us from truly re-entering and living our lives. So here's the thing. When we focus on our loss, we end up stuck in grief and marinating in misery. So how can we ever re-enter life when we're pining and grieving? We can't. Now, we can pretend that we're not grieving. We can push the pain into a shallow emotional grave, but it's still there. So here's the great news. Reconnecting is the way to re-enter your life. I have personally facilitated thousands of healings here in my office in Millbrook, at my live and virtual Love Never Dies retreats, during the weekly Hay House shows here, my live talks. Each time I help a grieving person to reconnect and dialogue with his or her quote-unquote lost loved one, that person's grief is instantly transformed to joy. When you reconnect, you discover, you feel that your loved ones aren't lost at all. And this discovery that can only come from reconnecting is what dissipates your grief. So now you can joyfully re-enter your life rather than limp through your days dragging your grieving self from moment to moment. See what I mean? Oh, and here's another one. This is so important, and it's a major misconception. Let's call this misconception 3. Reconnecting with those in spirit, especially reconnecting to life partners and spouses, prevents us from forming another relationship. Now, this is so bogus as well. So I want to give you an analogy that's going to help you see what I mean. Imagine a woman who's thinking of having a second kid. Would you ever say to her, well, do you love your first child? Yeah. Well, if you do, you can't have any more. Well, isn't that ridiculous? Yeah, because the point is, our hearts are made to love. We have enough room in our hearts to love all those who walk the earth plane and all those who walk in spirit. Okay? Now, here's another misconception. And we got to ditch this one. If we reconnect with those in spirit, we're preventing them from moving on. Now, this one is also untrue. We need to let go of the false belief that spirit moves on at all. Now, in I think it's lesson 3 of the online course, I go into all the latest details about the latest scientific findings that help you to understand more about the afterlife and where those in spirit, quote unquote, reside. But just for now, I want you to remember that the afterlife or heaven is just right here. So when loved ones leave their bodies, they don't go anywhere or move on to anywhere. Again, death is an illusion. There's a very thin veil between the realm where we are and the realm where our loved ones in spirit are. The veil is thinner than we can ever imagine. They are standing right here. So once and for all, it's time for the world to embrace this fact that those in spirit don't go anywhere.
Are you a business looking to expand across the USA? Ask Dr. Love broadcasts in 5 of the top 10 U.S. radio markets, reaching 40 million listeners, offering you a unique opportunity to reach out to almost every adult listening group for a surprisingly reasonable rate. Everyone is concerned about their relationships. There is no other radio relationship advice show presented anywhere else in the USA. By advertising on Ask Dr. Love, your company can reach an audience that no other show touches. Visit AskDrLove.com and fill out the contact form to get in on this tremendous opportunity. Fill out the contact form at AskDrLove.com right now and get all the details. Will it be your company that gets to take advantage and grow your business? You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. If your heart is still hurting over the bodily loss of your loved one, the reason is simple. We're not meant to be separated from those we love, and reconnecting is the only way to end the grief. But reconnecting and staying connected requires guidance. As a gift to her listeners, Dr. Turndorf is offering a limited number of discounted grief relief sessions to help you reestablish a relationship with loved ones in spirit and resolve any unfinished issues. If you're ready to experience the healing and joy of reconnecting, visit drjamieturndorf.com/grief relief to schedule your session. But don't wait, space is limited. Visit drjamieturndorf.com/grief relief to find out more. And now, back to Dr. Turndorf.
Now, here's a related myth, and that is that reconnecting with them impedes them from performing their holy work, that we're bothering them in some way. This one is so dead wrong, too, because it turns out helping us is their holy work. And I discovered this truth on my first night back from Italy when Jean told me, Jamie, my arms are always open to you. What else is there for me to do? My full-time occupation is to love you. And I also continually hear my callers and my patients' loved ones in spirit voicing a similar message. And those in spirit want us to know that they are here to watch over us. And in fact, their soul, and that's S-O-L-E, and I guess I should say also their soul, S-O-U-L purpose, is to support us as we travel down that bumpy road we call life. They're here to assist us in fulfilling our spiritual destinies, to help us heal ourselves, body, mind, and spirit. We are their holy work. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you one more misconception, and then we're going to go to the phone. This one is big. Once they are in heaven, spirits are out of reach and unable to communicate with us. Now, after Jean left his body in 2006, I discovered so many Christians are riddled with false teachings and beliefs that block their ability to communicate with spirit beings. Because on more than one occasion since Jean left his body, I've heard priests tell me that the spirit lingers close to the earth for only a short while after bodily death, and that once our loved ones are in heaven, they are forever out of reach. They are incommunicado. Now, how did I find all this out and find out that it's totally not true, that they're out of reach? I went back one day to speak with Jean's priest, and I was so excited to tell him more details about Jean's ongoing manifestations. So the priest says to me, be prepared. When Jean enters heaven, his manifestations are going to stop, and then you'll only find him again when you're reunited in heaven. Well, to say I was bothered is the understatement. All day this was resounding. And I kept hearing Jean say, but heaven's a state, Jamie, not a place. Where would I go? I have nowhere to go but to be with you. Again, my full-time occupation is to love you. All right, so later that day, I'm in my office and I'm about to start a group. And a new patient of mine named Ashley was the first to arrive. And she didn't know Jean or me at all. And she certainly didn't know that I was widowed. So as we waited for the other members to arrive, we heard the chiming sound that my security system emits when the front door is opened. And then we heard pound, 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 loud footsteps. And they stopped in the waiting room outside my group room. And I said to Ashley, you know what? It must be another patient who got his or her appointment time wrong. At that moment, we heard the footsteps once again pounding in the opposite direction. They sounded like they were leaving. So I jumped up and I opened the door to the waiting room to speak to the patient, but there was no one there. So I took 2 more steps and went to the front door and opened it. Now, there was no human being outside and no parked car. And the house where my office was located had a very long driveway, so no one could have had the time to reach his or her car and drive off in the few seconds it took me to go from my office to the front door. And I registered. That was Jean's answer to the priest's erroneous statement that once in heaven I would no longer hear from him. And I returned to my group room and I told my patient that there was no one outside. And she responded, it was a spirit. So there was Jean's answer to the priest's comment about my not hearing from him once he's in heaven. Did you hear those footsteps? I heard him ask me. So I want to be able to go to the phone. I want to give you the phone number again so that everybody can get with me now and we can talk live. I want to also remind you, I'm going to take just a brief break here. This is, of course, this is Love Never Dies Radio. You're listening to Dr. Jamie Turndorf. I want to again personally invite you to join me for a magical weekend at Kripalu, August 26th through 28th. It's in the Berkshires. I think they call it Lennox, Mass. It overlooks Lake Mankinac. I actually visited this weekend just to have a look at it, and I was just mesmerized by the beautiful energy there. And the art of dialoguing from the heart is what I'm going to teach you how to do at this retreat. And I'll also be at Lilydale on August 7th. That retreat is more tailored for mediums. And of course, my cruise, January 22nd through 29th, the Spirit at Sea Cruise. No matter where you come and join me live, Jean and I are just going to lift you into such a heart space with like-minded people at live events, at the cruise, and just imagine the healing that you're going to experience with a group of like-minded healers and students in an environment of such peace, be it in the Berkshires or on the ocean, and just getting to spend one-on-one time with me and Jean to bring about your transformation. And, of course, the cruise, I can't wait. Imagine in the middle of January, we're going to visit Cozumel, an undeveloped Mexican island in the Caribbean, and just white sugar sand beaches, these beautiful turquoise waters. If you like scuba, snorkeling, swimming with the dolphins, jeep tours. We're going to also stop at Belize. We're going to see an archaeological preserve, I believe, and reefs and botanical gardens. We can even canoe hidden caves and see rainforests and waterfalls. And then we're going to end up in Rotan, Honduras, another Caribbean island. And that one has the second largest coral reef in the world. Doesn't it sound marvelous? I mean, just the sea is so healing anyway. But then when we join together and do my Love Never Dies retreat at sea and have just a whole week to be together in each other's energy, it's going to be beautiful for you. Especially important for widows and widowers because it's so difficult to travel alone. So here you'll be meeting other widows and widowers, making friends that last a lifetime, and learning how to reconnect with your loved ones. So let me give you the phone number again. It's 866-254-1579 in U.S. and Canada. International number 760-918-4300. Have I mentioned recently the Facebook handles? Love to have you follow me. I'm at Ask Dr. Love, ASKDR Love, at drjamieturndorf.com, and Love Never Dies book. And on Twitter, Love NVRDIES book, and of course at Ask Dr. Love. So let me please go to the phone now to line 1 and speak to Stephanie, who's been so patiently waiting. Hello, Stephanie.
Hi there.
Hi.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. What was the wow?
Well, I have not hardly ever called Hay House, and I rarely have ever gotten in, and this is the third time in the last week and a half.
What is that telling you?
Well, I kind of need to be on this path and get moving. That's what it feels like.
And you're really being offered tremendous bounty this week, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you know what's really amazing?
What?
This has never happened before. Because I always can't take the calls. There's so many queued up. I think because people must be traveling back, from July 4th.
Yeah.
You and I are alone together. And the universe, unless people call in, you and I are being offered an incredible gift that's never happened before, where I can stay with you as long as you like.
That sounds wonderful, because I could talk with you about a lot of things. Listen to you about a lot of things. Would you like to know a little bit about me?
Sure.
Well, I'm a musician, and I receive music. And I've had a friend of the shaman tell me it's from spirits, and I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had a lot of relatives die in especially the last 10 years and 20 years, and started with my dad. And
may I tell you that I want everybody in the world to say not die, but left his body or left their bodies? Okay?
Well, I used to say changed address.
Are you a business looking to expand across the USA? Ask Dr. Love broadcasts in 5 of the top 10 U.S. radio markets, reaching 40 million listeners, offering you a unique opportunity to reach out to almost every adult listening group for a surprisingly reasonable rate. Everyone is concerned about their relationships. There is no other radio relationship advice show presented anywhere else in the USA. By advertising on Ask Dr. Love, your company can reach an audience that no other show touches. Visit AskDrLove.com and fill out the contact form to get in on this tremendous opportunity. Fill out the contact form at AskDrLove.com right now and get all the details. Will it be your company that gets to take advantage and grow your business? You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. If your heart is still hurting over the bodily loss of your loved one, the reason is simple. We're not meant to be separated from those we love, and reconnecting is the only way to end the grief. But reconnecting and staying connected requires guidance. As a gift to her listeners, Dr. Turndorf is offering a limited number of discounted grief relief sessions to help you reestablish a relationship with loved ones in spirit and resolve any unfinished issues. If you're ready to experience the healing and joy of reconnecting, visit drjamieturndorf.com/grief relief to schedule your session. But don't wait, space is limited. Visit drjamieturndorf.com/grief relief to find out more. And now, back to Dr. Turndorf.
Come back to left his body.
Yeah, he didn't leave. He just changed address. Yeah, and
Okay.
That's kind of what it felt good to me. It felt right, I mean, the things I've experienced. But I think I had so many people. It felt like leaving me on this plane. It felt like that. It was just. I mean, maybe it links to old abandonment issues.
Oh yeah.
My dad. That's a lot. Because it's funny. I've been so open. Like when my grandpa died, suddenly, before he died, he had a stroke, and my mom and I. My mom called me. I was in grad school. She's like, "We better go." And we went. I'll make this really short because there's a lot. I'd like to hear your insight on. But what happened was we were there, and we went to see him, and after my mom and grandma left, I talked to him. He was in, his body, they'd taken out his dentures, and I looked at him and said, quite frankly, you look like a wreck. You look really awful. And I said, if you choose to stay, it's possible that you won't be able to do the stuff you like to do. And if you choose to leave your body and pass on, we'll miss you, but we'll respect your decision. I will, because I love you and I want you to be happy. And I mean, it was 2001, so it was some variation of that. And 4 o'clock in the morning, we got a phone call from the hospital saying he died or passed on. And he started coming to me while my mom and grandma were going to the funeral home. I'd hear this, I get those newspapers, because she kind of hoarded newspapers. Yeah, I get them out of here. And leading me before we left to find some old pictures he'd hidden of him and his ex-wife, his first wife and his girlfriends. It's like, and all I heard was, she doesn't need to see those. And, we would find stuff like that. The only time I ever had anything unpleasant was when a friend suggested ask him to visit you in your dream, and what I got was a trickster, and I realized years later he kind of was kind of a trickster kind of guy. But, I guess the big thing is that my dad did visit me when I finally let go, when I asked God for proof that my dad was okay, and my dad came to me in a dream, and we were at a train station type of thing, and we were in line and checking out. And my dad didn't talk much. I was kind of hoping, wish fulfillment, we'd sit down and have a chat. And instead, I just said, did you hear me talking to you after you, in the funeral home, which I did alone. I was talking to him and telling him a lot of things. And he said, yes. I don't remember much else except we gave each other a hug, and that was it. And
so,
I had a feeling,
And this was how long ago, Stephanie?
19 years ago.
Okay. Now, there's abandonment. There's abandonment issue and a broken heart, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I get this, and I get that it would be helpful for us to dialogue with him now. You haven't yet read Love Never Dies, right?
No, I've read other things, and I talk to some of my other relatives. I hear them usually right after they die. Not all of them, but a few.
So the thing is, you sound very much like many people who call me and haven't yet read the book, because my method for reconnecting and dialoguing, as the CEO of Hay House said, Jamie, we've never seen anything like what you do here. So let's just start and see what happens, okay?
Okay.
We'll just be open to the experience. So I want you to close your eyes, everybody in queue, everybody at home. We're going to do this together. We don't dialogue until we do the visualization and my meditation for making contact, okay? Take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And one more in through the nose and out through the mouth. And a third one in through the nose and out through the mouth. And on the next inhalation, I want you to feel a warm golden light entering your crown chakra through the top of your head. And I want you to feel that warm golden light washing over your body, spreading peace and healing. It washes down over your forehead and your cranium and your face and your jaw and your throat. And feel that warm golden light now going down your neck and your arms and out your fingers. Imagine it having the power to penetrate your blood, your organs, and your cells. And as you exhale, feel that tension leaving your body through your fingertips. And feel the golden light washing down your chest and upper back, your stomach and your mid-back, down your groin and your low back, the front of your legs and the back of your legs, and down your knees, your shins, your calves, ankles, feet and toes. And if you feel any part of the body resisting the flow, just let that inhaling breath bring the golden light into the area and let your exhaling breath flush it out. Continue to breathe and sink deeper and deeper, as if you're in a well bucket being dropped lower and lower into a well, or in an elevator dropping lower and lower. Continue breathing and sinking deeper and deeper. And when we do this at home, you'll take as much time as you need. But now we're just going to move on to my meditation. We're going to imagine ourselves strolling along the bank of a stream. The sky is a perfect blue dome, and songbirds and butterflies accompany us on our stroll. And a gentle breeze ruffles the lush emerald grass. In the distance, we see a footbridge that crosses the stream, and together we effortlessly teleport over that footbridge. And we land on the near shore of my lake. Its surface is smooth as glass and shimmers like liquid silver. On the far shore, we see your dad waiting to speak with you. His arms are outstretched. His palms are turned upward. And he sends you the message energetically that he's ready to speak with you and help you heal whatever is left unfinished. So together now, let us teleport over the lake and let us land on the far shore. Take in one more breath. Exhale. And I want you to make a first statement out loud to him, and I want you to speak from the heart and speak about what's troubling you, what is unfinished, what is unhealed. Make a first statement to him. Call him as you spoke to him.
Dad, I want you to know that I really missed you when you left, and I don't understand why you didn't come visit me more. I mean, people have told me stories, and I've talked to them, but for some reason it just really hurts, and I've been told so many things from Mom that I don't even know if they're even true. You know, I feel like our connection's been broken. I want to heal myself, and while we were doing the exercise, I feel like my grandma told me that my health issues, my stomach issues were because I couldn't stomach you leaving. Oh, and there's something else.
Take a breath in.
I love you.
Okay, take a breath in and see if you can sense what's coming back from him. A word, a sentence, a physical sensation, a mental image. Take a breath and see what you can.
Why didn't you tell me while I was alive that you wanted to talk?
You're laughing, but it's not funny. And this is a very big deal. The way you laugh off your feelings, because that's part of what's making you sick to your stomach. Every time you laugh off the poison, the anger, the hurt, the sadness, it gets swallowed and it hurts your gut. It's making you sick.
Yeah.
He wants you to be aware of that and stop laughing off feelings. Every time you laugh, it's a way of rolling off, laughing off, shrugging off your truth, okay?
Okay.
Because you have a lot of feelings.
Yeah.
A lot of feelings, and they need to be said out loud in words to me. This is what he's saying.
Are you a business looking to expand across the USA? Ask Dr. Love broadcasts in 5 of the top 10 U.S. radio markets, reaching 40 million listeners, offering you a unique opportunity to reach out to almost every adult listening group for a surprisingly reasonable rate. Everyone is concerned about their relationships. There is no other radio relationship advice show presented anywhere else in the USA. By advertising on Ask Dr. Love, your company can reach an audience that no other show touches. Visit AskDrLove.com and fill out the contact form to get in on this tremendous opportunity. Fill out the contact form at AskDrLove.com right now. and get all the details. Will it be your company that gets to take advantage and grow your business? You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. If your heart is still hurting over the bodily loss of your loved one, the reason is simple. We're not meant to be separated from those we love, and reconnecting is the only way to end the grief. But reconnecting and staying connected requires guidance. As a gift to her listeners, Dr. Turndorf is offering a limited number of discounted grief relief sessions to help you reestablish a relationship with loved ones in spirit and resolve any unfinished issues. If you're ready to experience the healing and joy of reconnecting, visit drjamieturndorf.com/grief relief to schedule your session. But don't wait, space is limited. Visit drjamieturndorf.com/grief relief to find out more. And now, back to Dr. Turndorf.
Now that statement, "Why didn't you tell me?" sounds critical. And so I'm thinking you experienced him as very critical of you. Why didn't you do it? You didn't do it right. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So you need to talk to him about how it felt when he spoke to you that way. The point is, this is not about suggestions and techniques. This is about you creating a state of receptivity, which I show you how to do in part 3. And then you use my meditation, my visualization of my meditation, and then you speak from your heart. Nobody's going to tell you how to talk to your cousin, your sister, your brother, your uncle. If you open yourself up and allow yourself to open up that faucet within your heart and speak your truth, you will know what to say. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Keep in touch, all right?
Okay, I will.
Did I give you what you needed?
That was a start.
But it seems like you want so much more, right? There's more.
Yeah.
More questions, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to keep anyone else from.
But that's okay. The thing is, this is a process. People who attend my retreat, they already get much deeper in 4 hours or at one of my live workshops. And so, again, you began. It's a process. It's an experiential learning and a journey and a healing over time. Yeah. So read the book. And then if you have more questions, call back, come to a live event. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So we'll be in touch. Let me go to line 3, please. Maya.
Hi.
Is this Maya, one of my newly certified coaches, Maya?
Yes. Hello, Dr. Turndorf.
Hello, Maya. How nice to hear.
Yes, this is my second time because first time was back in October 20th, my birthday.
Okay.
And I was so nervous and tense and oh my goodness, my primary language is not English, so my speaking English was so terrible last time. I'm so sorry.
I think you sound really great.
Well, this time it's the second time, so I am trying to speak a little slower and clear. Otherwise, no one could understand I am talking about. I wish I could be a Native American because I could speak little much better.
You sound fine. So what did you want to say to me and to everybody listening?
Yes. Yesterday was my second Independence Day without my husband physically.
Okay.
And I had to work with some elderly lady because I am doing a caregiving job.
Okay.
So I used to go and see the fireworks with my husband when he was okay. And he has been bedridden for 6 years, so I have not seen the Independence Day fireworks for 6 years until he left his body.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just feel like, I had a very good memory on Independence Day to watching the fireworks. but I totally left that kind of memories and experiences, right?
Right.
And all of your work, I working with you, studying, and finish reading A Love Never Dies, and taking an online course, and being a coach's student.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing experience. And yesterday, I felt my husband very well, and I could feel like I can be with him to celebrate Independence Day. And that was so blessing experience to me, so much.
Oh.
So I just would like to say thank you, because that is my life-changing event, absolutely.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that, Maya. It was so nice of you to call and share the story, because it brings such hope for everybody listening to know that when you learn my method and you put it into practice, how you experience such incredible joy. And, you know, the woman who called before, I could feel that she was, you know, wanting so much and was almost disappointed, even though she spoke to her dad in spirit and got some relief and really dialoguing about negative feelings. You could feel, I think, that she was disappointed. Oh, I want more. I want it to happen quickly. But our relationships don't get fixed overnight, because it took a long time for them to be damaged. So it takes a while of dialoguing to heal unfinished business. In terms of reconnecting, as you did with your husband, that happens in a moment, right? There's no time involved in that. So we can reconnect immediately.
That's
Experience the joy of reconnection. But if we have unfinished business, well, that's a process of dialoguing to work through. So you're describing the unadulterated joy of reconnection.
Yeah, and also after I talked to you last time, back in October, of course I was full of joy. Okay, I was in joy. But you know, life is life. So many things are happening, and in material world, if something happens, something little small negative thing happens, it very easily interrupt my connection. I discovered that.
Absolutely, so true, isn't it?
So even though I am learning and reading everything, I know, but still, always people's mind are very fragile. You know, I always lose some kind of joy, and oh my God, what should I do?
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because you'll hear me speak about that sometimes. Look, as great as my ability is to connect, sometimes if I fall off the horse, if I get too distracted or upset, it affects our frequency, and it makes it harder for us to send and receive energetic communications. You're absolutely right. So what do you do to put yourself back in the right vibration?
Going back to your meditation, I immediately turn on your guided meditation and start calm myself down, or, you know, watching your online course video review, because that means I can visualize your talking, and instantly I could just move back to my state. But I just cannot believe myself, because I should know, I should learn, but still I'm forgetting. I'm just leaving from my husband sometimes. You know, life is life, doctor.
I know. Now, remember also that voice, I should know. That's the voice of the mean, critical mother that puts you down, that puts all of us down. And she just slipped right in there, you know. You should know. You should. And you have to keep remembering to say, oh, hello, Mom. Hello, Dad. There you go. Criticizing me. You're doing a great job, Maya. It was so helpful to have you call. I'm sure everybody listening really appreciated hearing, you know, the discussion of how you experience the